Welcome back to the Review Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's new Spanish film called Tin and Tina. It's meant to be a horror. Is it worth your time? Let's talk about it. After a tragic loss, Lola and her husband Adolfo adopt Tin and Tina, two lovely brother and sister with an ultra-Catholic education that makes them interpret the Holy Bible verbatim. So coming from a Christian background, my parents are pastors. I grew up in a very strict Christian upbringing, especially when I was in South Africa. And it was only in my later years where I've kind of found my own path of what I believe in. And seeing how these kids in this film hit a lot of notes of like, yeah, I could see people, especially like in the Bible Belt, or those that are surrounded by religion that use it as a, sometimes it's used like, God wills it, those kind of talks where religion is used as a thing that's almost evil. And here, these kids are not taught the right way, at least for the first 7 years of their life, to using the Bible as verbatim and seeing how that actually brings about disastrous consequences in a child's mind. It does play with your mind. You never know if there's a supernatural element going on, and you never know if it's just the kids being evil, if they've taken the Bible or used it as an excuse to do their evil dastardly deeds. There comes a moment in the film for me where I decided, I think I know what this is and whether they're evil or not. You'll have to decide. It does kind of leave it open-ended. I will be talking about the ending and kind of doing an ending explained where I think it went and what actually happened at the end. But for now, this is a non-spoiler review. So my first impressions of this film was, what the hell? This is based on a short movie that the director Ruben Stein took. He short that did fairly well, then turned it into a feature after working on it for a number of years. Now I can't say that the acting is bad, because I like the two kids that had this presence of ominous, reminds me of The Omen and Damien, that sort of thing. They just have that ominous way. The way it's filmed makes you in that zone of you're experiencing a horror. You think you're experiencing a horror, but that it does play with you. And because of that, it's 2 hours long and it takes its time getting there. Now, sometimes that's just building story and character and background. And sometimes in this film, it's working because it's building moments where the kids are being bullied, or the way the kids are reacting. You're trying to work out for yourself whether what they're doing is right or broken, or what their belief is, or who's at fault, or is there a supernatural element at play. You're working it out for yourself, and the film is playing with that with you. However, all the other times, it just feels like it's dragging out the story. There are interactions that don't need to be there. There are moments the film is taking so long to get to the point that you're like, I get it, I understand why you're drawing that out, but it just feels drawn out. And then it comes down to the written reactions of the characters, especially the mother or the father. The way the husband and wife is written to what they would do in that situation, I just didn't find it believable at all. Like, at what stage do you say enough is enough? When you're dead? There were so many times a character would do something that I just... My wife was watching with me and she just like, I can't watch this. This is so frustrating. At no point would I ever do that. I would have left ages ago, or taken my husband, or dealt with the kids in some way because of what they're doing. And so I felt very frustrated with this movie because I wanted it to adopt a theme. I wanted it to really jump into that horror, Damien, Omen, supernatural thing, or really jump into the really nitty-gritties of religion and work out the creepiness of that. Because every time it kind of gets scary, it's trying to say it is a horror, but every time it is, it kind of steps back, and you think you're going to have earned that big scary moment at the end, and doesn't ever really get there. There are some creepy moments, and there's some possibly horrific moments that might make you scared, but the atmosphere tends to try and creep in and never really quite finds its footing to find that. I've seen so many films like this that do it 10 times better, and even those films that have done 10 times better I wouldn't classify as a great film. So for me personally, I think the acting is fine. With what they've given, they've done well. It's the motivations that the characters are written like that I found very frustrating. I like the sets. I think the atmosphere is there with the score. The score is different. There's a creepy kids song playing the whole way through, well, some of the times, and that helps add to the atmosphere, but doesn't elevate the film enough for you to go, I ever want to watch this film again. For me, I thought this was a waste of time. I just wish it went other places. So I'm going to give this a 1.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
And you got one. Congratulations.
Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Maybe you enjoyed it. What is your favorite religious type film? I know most people are probably going to say things like The Exorcist. But there are a number of other religious type horror films that are actually fairly good. Even Hollywood did some big ones with, there was one with Arnold Schwarzenegger that I really liked. Okay, so that is my review. I'm going to talk about the ending. So when we finally get to that ending sequence, the mother comes to believe Lola, she was a showgirl.
Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl.
The mother comes to believe that it wasn't anything to do with the kids, that they were always the good little kids and didn't do anything wrong. But there are a number of times in the film that there are setups that suggest that the kids were evil and quite smart. Now you have to come to the understanding of how smart are these kids, what do they understand, have they been brainwashed into understanding the Bible verbatim, or were they doing their evil deeds? You have to decide for yourself what it means. I actually think they were evil because the film points to so many places that the kids were probably doing stuff, and when they show you what they've done, their understanding isn't that they're stupid kids. They're 7 or 8 at this point, and I don't know about you, but having had 2 kids, knowing what my kids knew at 7 or 8, they definitely understood circumstances, right from wrong, but definitely more than that, the intricate nature of what they were doing. So that when it comes to deaths, like with the dog, it felt like they were using the Bible as an excuse to do their evil bits. When it comes to poisoning, taking the poison instead of the sugar. When it comes to them asking certain things like, how far is the convent from our house? And they found out it was just 6 miles or 6 kilometers through the woods. Even the car stops and screeches and there's something flashes past. You could have thought it was an animal or the kids running past. I personally think it was them all along. They got what they wanted, a mother. They didn't want the brother. If we were to continue watching the story unfold, I would think they would do away with the brother and keep their mom, and that's where it would go. And eventually probably do something like do away with the mom and continue their dastardly deeds. That's how I interpret it. But it could also be interpreted the other way, that it was just religion and actually they were good. So let me know your thoughts about this. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.